So you're looking for the best tripod, whether it's for photography or for video with a fluid head, something that you can use at home, in the studio, and also when you're traveling and maybe having your camera bag. Well, I have found for me the perfect tripod options that I use for travel and honestly for everything else. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. That is the Coman Light Tripod series.
We about to change the game. We out here taking names. Let our voices rise. Let them reach the skies. We about to change the game. We out here taking names. Let our voices rise. Let them reach.
So full disclosure, before I start talking about these tripods, Coman did send these to me for the purposes of doing a review, but this is not a sponsored video. They didn't pay me anything. And everything that you're seeing is my own thoughts and opinions, and they don't get to see the video before I publish it or anything like that. So I'm going to say what I feel about it. Now, I did get sent these like the beginning of this year. So I've had these tripods for a long time and been using them a lot. And I mean a lot as in like these have been my two or certainly two of my main tripods. And the Light G, which is the tripod that is meant for photography primarily, has been my main tripod for photography work for all of 2024 since I've gotten this tripod. And that is because I really love this tripod. And obviously, it is designed to be a travel tripod, or at least a travel-friendly tripod. It is carbon fiber, and it is super sturdy. It is not one of those travel tripods where like the last few legs feel like a little bit unsafe, or you're not sure if you want to extend it all the way because they're a bit wobbly or something. Like all of this tripod is super well built and feels like it will stand up to basically anything. And again, I've been using it all year and I've never had any problems with it not being able to stand up to something or questioning whether it was going to be sturdy enough. It does have a hook on the bottom, and because it is a relatively lightweight tripod, because it's designed for being a travel tripod, I do hook a sandbag onto that hook whenever I'm using it, but I do that with every tripod that I use, so that's not something out of the ordinary. That's just being careful and making sure that my camera gear is safe. And I, again, have had basically no issues with this tripod. It has been almost exactly what I want it to be in almost exactly any situation, with the one tiny exception of it is a little bit hard to get certain angles, or more than just a straight angle, when you are using this tripod to shoot with your camera mounted vertically. Now, going from horizontal to vertical mounting with the tripod is super easy with this because it has that just quick release. It's very similar to the design that we first saw with like the Peak Design travel tripod several years ago. It definitely takes a lot of the design language of that. The problem then is that the way that this is designed, it really only fits into that vertical position straight up and down. So if you're getting a straight on angle while you're shooting vertically, it's perfect for that. But if you're trying to angle the camera up or down at all, you can still do it, but you have to do it by raising and lowering the front tripod leg, which is absolutely doable as long as you're not at the full height of the tripod. Because if you're at the full height of the tripod and then you need to get the front leg longer in order to get, an angle up, or if you're all the way down at the lowest height of the tripod and then are trying to angle down, you don't have any more room to go up or down with that leg. So that is probably my one complaint with the design of this tripod, is that when you're shooting vertically, and I think that's pretty common for most of us, especially in like the content creator world, when you're shooting for Instagram, social media, a lot of times you're going to be shooting vertical content. And even just as a photographer, you're going to be going back and forth horizontal and vertical kind of a lot. Again, going back and forth is really easy, but once you are in that vertical position, you don't have a lot of easy ability to go up and down with different angles while you're in vertical. However, it is possible. It's not the end of the world. You just have to faff maybe a little bit more with the tripod legs than what you would typically expect with something that has a fluid ball head like this does. However, for me personally, and I've used a lot of tripods over the years, I have gotten really cheap tripods because I thought it was going to save me money, and then realized that it actually cost me more money because then I was rebuying tripods. I've also spent a lot of money on tripods that were recommended to me by other YouTubers and that I had seen good reviews for and that kind of thing, and spent a lot of money on brands that were really well established and regretted it because they were not very useful, or they didn't work well, or they just didn't stand up. And from my experience with this tripod, that little bit of extra faff in trying to get those higher or lower angles when the camera is mounted vertically is absolutely worth it for how sturdy and reliable and dependable this tripod has been and how well it works. And honestly, like, what is the best thing you can have from a tripod is that you just don't have to think about it. Like, that it just sits there and holds the camera well and does it without having to worry about whether it's going to happen, whether it's going to fall over, or whether you're going to have to mess with it in order to get what you want. And other than that slight up and down angle in the vertical thing, this tripod does exactly that. And it's lightweight, and it's super portable. It comes with a carrying case, and that's basically everything that I want from a travel photography tripod. If it had a little bit more adjustment in the angle of being in a vertical mode, then I would say this was, for me, the absolute perfect tripod. With that one minor flaw, it's the closest to perfect I've ever come across. When it comes to the Light H, which is the video fluid head version of this tripod series, it's hard to find a complaint, honestly, because the way that it switches from vertical to horizontal is the same. So you would think that you would have that same issue, but because it's a fluid head, it has more controls for tilting up and down, panning, that kind of thing. And so I found it much easier to, even if you're trying to shoot vertically, I found it much easier to get to the exact angle and everything that you wanted. Now, it is, because of having a fluid head, it is a little bit more cumbersome, as you would expect from a fluid head tripod. So I would say this one is slightly less portable because of the size and bulk with that fluid head. However, for a tripod with a fluid head built in that can also shoot vertically with that fluid head, I mean, I don't know of any tripods that have all of that and are even as portable as this one. So from my perspective, even that is a win. And again, the angle, even going vertically, is much easier to dial in precisely in the Light 8 tripod, which, I mean, you can certainly think about, even as a photographer, because of that fluid head, whether that might make more sense for you to go with the Light H rather than the Light G, because of just that extra bit of control when you're in that vertical position. So if you're a photographer that shoots in like a vertical format a lot, or even more often than you're shooting horizontally, that could be something to think about. Now, I will say, for me, and I don't know if it's just because like fluid head video and like not photography, and that's just like baked in my brain, I definitely prefer using the Light G for photography. I don't have a real reason for why that is. I can't think of why it just feels better or more natural for photography, other than, again, that might just be baked into my brain, that fluid head for video. So I don't have a reason to tell you, no, don't go with the fluid head Light H version if you're a photographer only or primarily. But again, for me, it just feels better and more natural. The Light G is much more portable because it doesn't have that same bulk from having the fluid head. And so that probably plays into the idea of it being more photography friendly for me. But again, considering that you have the fluid head there, and especially if this is something that you want as a portable fluid head video tripod, the Light H is really hard to even match, let alone beat. And it is also, again, very sturdy. I can't remember exactly what the weight rating is on it. You can find that online, obviously, but I will say that I was even able to use like my smaller cinema camera, my C100, with a 24 f1.4 Sigma Art prime lens on it, which is an all metal, like relatively heavy prime lens, and felt absolutely comfortable. Had like no issues about like, is this going to tip over? There was no point where like the fluid head wasn't able to, stay wherever I put it or lock into place, or like was unsteady or anything like that. So like the weight that it can handle is really good, especially again, considering that this is a travel carbon fiber tripod. So I love both of these tripods. So just a few last thoughts about the light series tripods generally. They are, again, really easy to pack down, really travel friendly. They come with like travel bags. So if you, if you want, you can probably strap them onto a lot of camera bags, depending what your camera bag looks like. But it also comes with a dedicated tripod bag, which makes it really easy. It gives you a lot of options for traveling with it, making sure you can take it with you wherever you're going to shoot, whether that is photo or video. With the legs themselves, the actual length of like each click that you have to open in order to extend the tripod is pretty short. So to me, definitely feels like I tend to have to open like where I would think, oh, I only need to open like one extension on this tripod. I probably need to open two. So those extensions themselves feel short. Does that really matter? No. It just is a workflow thing of you're probably going to open more than you would have expected based on like previous experience with tripods. But both of these tripods, they fold up really easily. Again, whether in your camera bag or in the dedicated bags, fit in there really well and are just easy to take with you, which is super important because a tripod can't help you if you don't have it when you're trying to take the shot. Now, what I do have to point out as easily the biggest con for this series right now is that while I'm filming it, for whatever reason, they don't seem to be very widely available anywhere. And I'm not sure if Coman has just stopped making these tripods or if it's just a like slowdown in production, if they're going to be coming in stock later, or what the case is. I hope that these are something that start to come back in stock soon and that people can get their hands on, because I really, truly, like, this is the first time I can say about a tripod that I love them. Like, I've had tripods where it's like, yeah, these work and I can, for the price range, I can recommend it. I actually love these tripods. Like, they are enjoyable to use. So I do hope that they come back into stock and that you guys are able to get your hands on them, especially if they're coming in at that, like, I've seen them sub 300. I think that's a fair price for them. I've also had seen them places sub 200. I'm not sure what the price is supposed to be or what it would be if it comes back in. Certainly if it's sub 200, but even sub $300, I think that these are worth that price because they are good. They feel like something that's going to last a long time. It's an investment into something that is, again, enjoyable to use and easy to take with you, and make sure you have it when you do need a tripod for those shots. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about these tripods in the comments down below. Have you tried them before? Are you looking for something like this? If you haven't, hit the subscribe button. See ya.